Hello, I'm Dave Hunt from Anaal Nathrakh here at Damnation in a boxing gym apparently, which is kind of fun, with rockflesh.com.
rockflesh.com here at Damnation again, and I'm with the legend, the absolute legend, that is Dave Hunt Anaal Nathrakh. Thank you for joining us.
Alright, didn't have anything better to do, so.
Fair enough. I'm sure we'll try and make sure it's at least a vaguely, satisfactory 10 minutes. But, so, Damnation, essentially you are the Damnation house band, yeah?
Kind of, yeah, in one guise or another. I've definitely played it more than anyone else, I think. Not just with Anaal Nathrakh, did it with Mistress a couple of times. I played with Fuck Pig at Damnation as well on bass. We did Benediction, which I think was wasn't technically a Damnation, but it was one of Gab's events at the same venue. So yeah, I've been here before. Including in this venue actually, but more the festival, once or twice.
So basically when you got the Damnation signal to come and play that, I presume there wasn't much of a decision making about coming along here?
Not really, I mean there was a question, which we'll probably get into, but there was a question about whether or not we would play live at all. But if there was to be an Anaal Nathrakh gig, in the UK basically at a festival, it was probably going to be Damnation. And after hearing about the move to this big venue now last year, I sent the team an email, said, do you mind if I come down? I'd just like to see how it was going and everything, and I did, and one of the lads turned round to me halfway through the day and went, pick your spot for next year then.
Any stage.
Well, I mean the timing would be different, but the stage, and so when we were actually doing some more gigs, I got an email, I think it probably was off Gav, got an email saying, go on then, so, and it was a choice between 6 or 7 o'clock on the main stage or whatever, or headline the second stage, and headline the second stage seemed more fun way to do it. I don't know if a room with 2,500 people in it is intimate particularly, but it seemed a little bit more, I like a compact sort of a gig,
And you have done, because you've done main stage at Leeds, I've seen you main stage at Leeds, and I've also seen you in that bizarre little stylus thing with all different layers and stuff. And
I mean we've done also. I've done gigs. I don't know if there's a bar in Camden called the Black Heart that we've done. I've done that on purpose because you can only fit about 100 people in it, just because I wanted to see a bomb going off kind of thing. And then the last gig we did before this was the main stage of Brutal Assault, which was about fucking 10,000 people or something in Saturday afternoon sunshine. Anywhere works for me, but in this venue, I quite like our spot. I'm quite looking forward to it.
I think it'd be good. I think it's really interesting because it's on the forum, it's the one people kept talking about as being the clash of the weekend. The fact that you and Maybe She Will are on the same time.
Oh right, okay. Oh, that's unfortunate.
And it's been the one, even Gavin was saying, do you want us to move that? And in the end it was like, no, we'll just do half-half and stuff. So I think you are going to see a movement of people, which I think I find really bizarre, going from your, let's describe it, nihilistic extreme metal to Maybe She Will slightly happy, poppy, post-rock.
I mean, maybe people should go there towards the end of our set and try and chill out, calm down a bit.
Or even halfway through, I'm just going to take a break and then come back again.
And then after both, go and get stoned in the main room.
So we are talking about a new version of the band. Let's be honest about this. How close did you come to not existing?
Not existing at all anymore. That was a conversation me and Mick had. People who are likely to watch this will probably know, but not everyone maybe. So principally there's 2 of us in Anaal Nathrakh, and then we work with people live. Over lockdown and everything, my partner in crime.
He's over in the States, isn't he?
Yeah, he lives in California. So he had a project blow up, production work, that kind of stuff. He's doing really, really well, but he hasn't got a second. So there was a conversation, are we going to knock it on the head, or shall we say, for example, it's not necessarily going to be knocked on the head, but it might be a while before we do anything. If it's the latter, which is what in the end we decided we wanted to do, but if it's the latter, well, what in the meantime? Should we, and because of the pandemic and all that business, we had an album. We finished an album about 3 weeks before the pandemic kicked off. Well, in the UK before lockdown and everything, it's already existed elsewhere. But so that came out during lockdown, and it's like, well, for fuck's sake, we've done an album. It seemed to go down pretty well. We were happy with it. We were looking forward to doing stuff. Couldn't, and it's right. Okay, so there might be a hiatus for a while before we can do anything in the studio. Fair enough, but there's a hell of a lot of unfinished business. Phrase I've kept using over the time. In the live arena, shall I do it or not? Shall we? I don't know. And then I just went, fuck it, go on then. We'll do one gig and see what happens. And so for that, I spoke first of all to Sam Loynes, plays keyboards at Curating, and obviously plays in voices and everything. And it snowballed into basically me and most of voices and our. Also Akakaki as well, and our previous live lead guitarist, sort of getting together. But it felt really good actually. It felt like it really worked.
And you've always been honest about the fact that you're not particularly a people person, and not really know.
To be friendly enough to people.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, no, I'm with you on that. And the relationship that you and Mick have got, do you feel you've actually got that same relationship with the new lineup, or at least the present lineup?
Well, the same relationship. No, all individuals are different, obviously, but a very good relationship. We're absolutely on a wavelength. It's been. I don't want to gush and sound like some kind of lovey about it, but it's been really lovely working with them and getting to know them better. And I mean, I knew. At least Sam and Dave, not a soul group, but I knew the two of them already. We played with Akakaki a number of times before and all that kind of stuff. But no, as a general unit working together and everything, it's been a real pleasure and markedly more professional than I'm used to be honest. These are people who seem to know what they're doing and just turn up having done what they need to do, so that's kind of a bonus.
But is there a space almost left for Mick? Is there a space for him to come back when he's done what he needs to do?
In terms of live stuff, I don't know, frankly. That's just a conversation we haven't had. I haven't really thought about that. We've always, usually in interviews, people say, so what at this point in your career, what do you think you've done, and how does it compare to and I don't think about the past, whereas you're now saying what you think about, don't think about the future either.
So what you think about now,
not so much now, but what's next, and then that'll do. So I'm thinking about tonight and the next few gigs we might have lined up. Beyond that, no idea.
So my next question,
we'll work something out,
So my next question about whether you're considering an album with this lineup is completely superfluous then.
More or less, and an album would have to have Mick involved. It wouldn't feel right to do it, even if we could do it. And we probably could, but it'd be pastiche. It'd be an homage.
I'm trying to think what an Anaal Nathrakh homage band would be called, basically. But
we'd probably look through Spotify. No, I've no idea. But it might be fun to do something. But I think if I was to record new material with these guys without Mick, we'd call it something else. The Nathrakh name, in terms of recording in the studio, that waits until that's ready, I think.
So in terms of sort of choosing material for tonight, was it because you're with a band who's probably going to have to learn the stuff, was it a case of going, this one's good live, this one's a banger, or was it just a self-indulgent thing of what they could cope with?
Somehow all of those. I tend not to go too much for the self-indulgent thing, because it's I don't want to say it's about the fans, man, because that just sounds ridiculous. But there's not only us in that room.
And there's some tracks you just couldn't get away with not doing.
There are, but there are also some tracks that we struggle to get away with doing as well. It's a hell of a lot of material for the guys to learn. So there are tracks, at least one I can definitely think of, that we've never played live before in any incarnation of the band that we're playing tonight. But it can't just be a whole new set just for tonight, because they don't have the history of knowing it all and everything. However, having said that, the songs that we are playing, they've properly put their backs into learning and everything. It's a vast amount of material. If you're new to playing it, even if you've listened to it before, actually playing it, you get to know things in a different way. But they've taken it in stride. They've really put the time in. They've really worked hard. So I have faith they could do probably pretty much anything I asked them to. But yeah, we'll see. But hopefully, it's mostly songs that should work well live. That's the thing you have to do.
And that's what you expect. There is a certain atmosphere about your gigs. So they are chaotic, anarchistical cauldrons of just gesticulating bodies, and that's what's beautiful about an Anaal Nathrakh gig.
Yeah, if you can put that on the front of a CD or sticker or something, it works for me.
Brilliant. So, I know you're very honest about you're not sure what happens next. So, is this? I presume this is not your only side of work now. Is this almost now a hobby as opposed to your day job?
Never approached it as a day job. There were times when I was using music, not necessarily just Nathrakh, but obviously that was a big part of it. I was using music to support myself because I was studying at the time. I couldn't do like day job stuff. But it's never seemed like a day job anyway, even if it was a source of income. So no, I mean I've got a job. But I have to be grown up and think carefully about what I say, and then I've got another part of it. It's not a hobby. It's not a hobby. It's how sometimes it comes across that people who work in medicine, nurses and stuff like that, doesn't matter what the regulations say, doesn't matter how cruel their pay deals are, it doesn't matter because they're doing it because it's a vocation. They almost have to do it. I don't want to sound quite as pompous to say I have to do it. No one has to do anything, but it's more along those lines than it is anything to do with a hobby or job. It doesn't fit into either of those things.
And I think this thing I find really interesting about chatting with people over the last couple of days is the fact that I think there is sort of an assumption that most musicians do this full time, when actually I think it's become clear to me that's a bit of a fallacy. It's the Maidens, it's the Metallicas, it's the Priests of this world, and everybody else is really balancing it with real life.
I mean, a lot of the time, yeah. I mean, if we really pushed it and did as many gigs as we possibly could, for a certain amount of time, we're probably just about at a point where we could do it, but that would quickly exhaust everyone who wanted to come and see us anyway. So that would be it'd be a finite proposition. So yeah, you need to be a little bit further up the tree than us, I think, to really make a successful go. You could limp along, you could get by maybe, but to really go for it.
I find that quite, because I would describe you as a name, certainly in my world, you're a name band. You're headlining, you've got a reputation, you've got a back catalogue, and yet still, it's not your primary source of income.
No. Like I say, if we did everything that came along and worked harder on building up more of touring and all that, we probably are there. But you definitely wouldn't have to go many rungs further down the ladder than us, and it's 100% not possible whatsoever. It's easy from the outside to assume things are a certain way, and they aren't always. But I do think there's a bit of swings and roundabouts about it. If it's a passion project, I think it's a different proposition to approach as an artist and finding your motivation to do things and all of that kind of stuff. And if you really were having to take all the gigs and all of that kind of stuff, I'm not sure it could really be called a passion project anymore. It swings and roundabouts, I think. And I had
actually a really interesting conversation with the guys from Bosk on exactly that thing. They're saying, actually what's really exciting is the fact we don't do this many. So actually it's really nice. They basically were a bunch of giddy lads getting back together again, doing their gig, and then going back to wives, children, mortgages, jobs. And I think it almost kept it exciting for them. So does that fact that there is those gaps between gigs, does that mean, I presume you're chomping at the bit for this evening?
To some extent, but it's more, for me, that's for them. For me, it's more that it's more strictly compartmentalised in there. So it's not that sometimes I get to do this, sometimes I have to do that. It's this is always happening. It never stops, it never goes away. I never don't think along these lines. but sometimes I do that as well. But the contrast is almost less stark than what you're describing there, because to me it's all continuous.
What I'm hearing is almost it's an itch that has to be scratched. It's something that needs to be done, something that's absolutely an essential part of you. Getting up on that stage, and
possibly more than that, it's happening. It just is. Doesn't stages doesn't matter, but some form of creative expression. It's just going to happen. Sorry. So it's not so much that I have to do it, or it's not. It's just fucking happening. It doesn't matter what you say or do or anything.
Brilliant. Well, I'm going to bring it to a close just because it's been absolutely fascinating talking to you, Dave. I'm really, really looking forward to this evening. Just seeing. Just having you back on stage, that's the bit I'm most excited about. So,
okay, cheers.
Well, thank you. Thank you.
To it too.
No, right.
Give the nurses a pay rise.
Definitely. Here first. So, you've been watching rockfest.com. Please go to the website and you'll basically find the reviews, Damnation, including me probably putting lots of superfluous words about how fantastic Anaal Nathrakh are going to be this evening. Subscribe, do all those bits and pieces. This is us signing out from Damnation. Good evening.